Oilers Nation? This is your giant pregame show presented by Sherwood Ford with Tyler and Caroline. Producer Liam's in the background. And Tyler, the Oilers had a bad game against the Flames, but they're back, baby, because they beat the Arizona Coyotes 6-1, and I'm amped today, Tyler.
You are.
I'm trying to wake you up.
I think we should offer a premium subscription where people can listen to our pre-show talks. None of them are ever about hockey. We'll sit here and we'll be talking about like British rom-coms or whatever we're doing right now, whatever you guys were doing. I was not a part of that conversation. And then it'll be like, hey, 1 o'clock, let's talk hockey. And
Honestly,
then we just go live. It's ridiculous.
It was very funny. Producer Liam and I were talking about a rom-com that we both love, that it broke both of our hearts. And Tyler's like, all right, it's 1 o'clock. Liam and I are continuously talking about our movie, and then Tyler's like, yeah, it's 1 o'clock. So here we are.
Yeah, the Oilers coming off a big win.
Yeah.
And it's something they've done. Like, remember during those losing streaks, they were dropping games to like the Canadians and the Senators, and we're like, the Oilers got to stop playing down to their competition. Well, as of late, they've actually shown that they don't play down to their competition at all. Let's look at their last few wins. Detroit, bad team. Buffalo, bad team. New Jersey, bad team. San Jose, bad team. Arizona, bad team. They're beating the bad teams. They're winning the games they're supposed to right now. And that's what was encouraging about that game against Arizona, is coming off a bad game to the Flames. I get it. Yep. Arizona's one of the worst teams in the league. I'm not sitting here and saying the Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup because they beat them, but it's encouraging to see them have the ability to come out, put the loss against Calgary behind them. Yeah. And the first 10 minutes of that game, they dominated play against Arizona.
Well, let's talk about one Oiler in particular who everyone was so happy for. Ryan McLeod, one of the biggest games of his career against the Coyotes, finishing the night with 2 goals and an assist, giving the Oilers that depth scoring that we always talk about on this show that is so necessary.
Yeah, it was big. Like, the Oilers are going to need not just 3 lines, but probably 4 lines to have some sort of a scoring touch come playoff time and even down the stretch here. And I thought Ryan McLeod had an awesome game. Like, he scored twice. He very easily could have had a couple of more. Yeah. And when you watch, and this happens a lot, he's a guy who gets a lot of pucks in good areas. He loves doing that drive wide play where he just sneaks past the defenseman. But sometimes I feel like he holds on to the puck a little bit too long. I'm hoping that, like the one goal where he just threw it on net from behind the goal line and it goes in, I'm hoping that kind of gives him a little bit more confidence to use his shot more, because I think he gets put in a lot of really good spots, but is sometimes a little bit hesitant to just rip the pill. And I'm thinking a 2-goal game maybe gives him the confidence to shoot the puck a little bit more going forward.
Love it. And we had 2 goals from the bottom 6 against the Coyotes. Warren Foegele was the other guy. Last time he scored a goal was March 15th. And Tyler, a guy that you tweeted about saying that the Oilers need more from him down the stretch.
He's capable of being a guy who puts up consistent offense in a bottom 6 role. Look back at his time again in Carolina. He scored at a 17, 18 goal pace last season. The year before that, same thing, 13 goals in 68 games. Okay, well, this year that was only his 9th of the year. They haven't been getting enough from Warren Foegele on a consistent basis, but there's still a long stretch of time here down the stretch, and again, hopefully into the playoffs, where if Warren Foegele can get hot, he can really, really change my opinion of him. Because, again, big body, if he can bring that physical style of play while also chipping in some offense, it'd be huge for the Oilers. Huge.
Right. Lots of love for the Oilers in the chat. Daryl says, go Oilers. Tori says, let's do this. Daryl also says, love McLeod's speed. So some good comments. Everyone's fired up for the game tonight. And we'll get to the opposition report in a second. But this should be a game that we're all fired up about. Leon Draisaitl in the game against Arizona. 1 goal, 1 assist. At that moment in time, everyone, he caught up to Austin Matthews to be tied with him in terms of goals in the entire league. But last night, I'm so sorry, Oilers fans, last night Austin Matthews did score a goal against the Boston Bruins, so he's back in the lead, but a nice competition going on between some of the NHL's most elite players.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really, really cool down the stretch to watch these two guys. We talked about it on the last pregame show. They're both capable of scoring a ton of goals in bunches, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now, specifically with Draisaitl. I got a little bit of money on Austin Matthews to win this goal-scoring race, so I'm probably going to be happy no matter what. But I'll be honest, kind of 6-7 days ago, I didn't think there was going to be much of a race. But again, it's a testament to Draisaitl's ability to just go into this mode that not very many other players in the league can. It's unreal.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. Let's say you don't already have your bet in place.
Yeah.
If you could win $1 billion cash, $1 billion, on either Draisaitl winning the race or Austin Matthews, who would you pick? And I'm asking you, Oilers Nation, too.
Okay. I am not doubting Leon Draisaitl's ability to do it at all. He very well could, but he's 1 back right now, and the Leafs have 1 more game to play. So that's a fairly that weighs on my decision here and what my answer is going to be. So again, not that I'm saying Leon Draisaitl can't do it, but Matthews is a goal up with an extra game that he can play. I think I might say Austin Matthews.
Wow.
People are going to kill me for that. They're going to kill me.
Waz, if you're watching this, clip this.
No, Waz, don't clip it. Please.
Clip it.
No.
I'm sorry, Oilers Nation. My answer is Austin Matthews for obvious reasons, but we'll move on from this so Tyler doesn't get absolutely torched. Other 2 goal scorers, obviously, Zach Hyman, 3 points in his last 3 games, and Connor McDavid having 19 points in his last 10 games. I mean, we talk about this every game. Connor's just on another level.
Yeah, he is. It's a shame he couldn't get 2 points last game for those of us who bet on him to get over 2 points in that hockey game. But, another really solid game from the captain, scoring first, and he had a ton of chances. He probably deserved an assist in that game, but they didn't give it to him because the NHL does NHL kind of stuff. But no, another good game from the captain. He's rolling right now. You didn't really need him to come through and be that big in a game against the Coyotes. You might need him tonight because the competition is a lot stiffer.
All right, Evander Kane drawing 4 penalties. This was another. Some people were like, he's letting his emotions get the best of him. Tyler, your thoughts?
Okay, first penalty, whatever. Second one, yeah, he let his emotions get the best of him. Third one, you put your stick in a bad spot. You can't do that. Fourth one, a little ticky-tack in my opinion. I think, if he hadn't taken 3 penalties before that, he might have gotten away with it. Our very own Jason Gregor did do the research and point out that in the expansion era, so since 1967-68, those are the 4 fastest minor penalties a player has ever taken. It was a total of 7 minutes and 41 seconds from the first penalty to when he took the last penalty. That broke the record by 1 minute and 7 seconds as well. So not even really that close, which is hilarious. I joked that he and the penalty box attendant are going to be planning a summer vacation together now that they got to spend all that time together. Whatever. I didn't read too much into it. I mean, if you do that in tonight's game when it should be closer and likely a 1 or 2 goal game, yeah, we're gonna have a problem. But the one play, he got the elbow up, he was fired up. It's whatever. Like I'm not sitting here and I'm not gonna yell at Evander Kane for it. Like, yeah, don't do that again. But like, it was an NHL record. That's a pretty rare thing to have happened.
I'd love to see you yell at Evander Kane.
I would not.
Could you imagine? All right, guys, over under, who would win the fight between Tyler Yaremchuk and Evander Kane?
Yeah, what a tough call. Let's get the betting odds on that one.
All right, Mikko Koskinen, 31 saves on the night, letting in 1 goal by Clayton Keller, which is arguably the most dangerous player for the Arizona Coyotes. All in all, it would have been nice to see Mikko get that shutout, but did his job.
Yep, absolutely did his job. And it wasn't a game where he was overly tested or anything like that. He had to make a couple of big saves, especially early in the second. He slammed the door on Boyd and a goal that maybe could have flipped some momentum in that hockey game. 969 save percentage. That's good. That's a really nice bounce back for Mikko after having a 583 save percentage against the Calgary Flames. Yeah, I liked it. And I think he earned another start. He's getting another start tonight. Again, Jay Woodcroft goes right back to him after the loss to Calgary. I said I like that decision because they're treating Mikko like he's the number one, and he deserves to be the number one. Tonight, big game against LA. Biggest game standings-wise you've played in probably over a month now.
Yep.
Go back to your number one. I like this decision.
Daryl in my comments says that he loves Kane's grit, much needed on this team, and we talk about it all the time. Mm-hmm. Kane is a guy that's fit into this team seamlessly.
Yeah, I like this one too, David. The forwards have a lot of confidence right now, and the timing is perfect. Yeah, a big part of having success and getting into the playoffs, winning in the playoffs, is just getting your momentum going and playing your best at the right time. Yep. And I think when you watch the way, McLeod's starting to contribute. Fogle scores a goal. Kane's playing great hockey. It looks like everything's lining up for them to really be playing their best hockey of the year right down the stretch here.
You got to peak at the right time. All right, let's move on to our opposition report presented by Jägburger, another home game for the Edmonton Oilers. But this time, they're taking on the LA Kings, who are right above the Oilers in the standings, Tyler. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10, and they're coming off of a massive 6-1 loss to the Seattle Kraken on Monday night. Tyler, constantly on this show, we talk about controlling our own destiny, a.k.a. density. Mm-hmm. This game can really put us in that position.
Yeah, it puts you in a fantastic spot when you look at the playoff picture. Like you said, 2 back of the LA Kings. You have that game in hand. But if you win tonight, not only are you tied with LA, you own the tiebreaker, so you would be ahead of them in the standings, and you would still have that game in hand to build up a little bit more separation on them down the stretch. This is a Kings team that, since the start of 2022 in that range have been playing better hockey in their last 20 games. They're 12-5-3, but they're just 4-4-2 in their last 10 as well. So it's been a little bit up and down for them recently. They're coming off a 6-1 loss to the Seattle Kraken as well, which, again, the Kraken are not a very good team. So it's not an LA team that's playing their best right now, I guess, is kind of my point.
All right, how about the lines for the Kings? Anze Kopitar leading this team in points. I feel like that's been consistent for Kopitar like all season long, I think.
Yeah, and actually Luc Robitaille, president of hockey ops for the LA Kings, he was on the DFO rundown right before the trade deadline. I want to say a week before the deadline, and he talked about how the signing of Phillip Danault, and Danault comes in, he takes a ton of the defensive zone faceoffs, and he really sort of lessened the defensive burden that Kopitar faced. Well, it's freed up Kopitar. This is a level we haven't really seen from Kopitar in years past. He's having a great year. So is his line mate, Adrian Kempe, number 9 on the top line, right wing spot there. 28 goals on the season. This guy's going to hit the 35 goal mark. That's insane. Top line left side, Alex Iafallo. He's always buzzing around. The second line is this. It's great work by GM Rob Blake. This is a fully manufactured second line. Philippe Danault signed as a free agent. Trevor Moore picked him up in a trade with the Leafs. Victor Arvidsson picked him up in a trade from the Predators this summer. Great work from Rob Blake to put together this second line that's been incredibly effective for them. The third line is where their depth kind of falls off, and I'll have more on this in just a second, but Quentin Byfield with Gabriel Vilardi and Rasmus Kupari, 2 wingers whose names rhyme. And Elias Anderson with Arthur Kaliev, rookie, 13 goals on the year, great season. Carl Grundstrom's on the left side there. The blue line is banged up. Their whole team is banged up right now, and that's a big advantage for the Oilers. Tobias Bjornfoot with Sean Dursey is the top pair. Ollie Mata with Troy Stetcher. Jacob Mauvray with Jordan Spence. They basically distribute these minutes evenly across the board. They all played right around that 21-minute mark, 18-minute mark, in that range. So they're banged up. You go to their injured reserve, they're missing Sean Walker on the blue line, Mikey Anderson, Matt Waugh, Drew Doughty. That's basically their top 4, more or less. I don't think they're going to have Alex Edler for this game tonight either. So that's 5 defensemen that they have out of the lineup right now. They're basically running their AHLD. It's insane. And then up front, they're missing Athanasiou, Dustin Brown, and Brendan Lemieux. They're missing 3 kind of top 9 forwards as well. They're super banged up. That's a big advantage for the Oilers.
This is a big opportunity for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
One that they would have to take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see we have the head-to-head kind of numbers pulled up here. And it's interesting to compare this group the LA Kings have. I mean, they're banged up again, but the way they've won games this year, as you can see, that goals against, 9th in the NHL in goals against per game, but 20th in goals for. The Oilers, basically the reverse of that. 7th in goals for, 22nd in goals against. The Oilers have been great on the power play when you look at the year as a whole. I know it's been a bit of a roller coaster to get to that 3rd in the league in power play percentage. The Kings don't exactly have that. So some areas Edmonton can take advantage of. LA's been great at preventing goals, but they're banged up in that regard right now.
Love it. Great stuff, Tyler. Lines for the Edmonton Oilers, and there was something interesting you were saying about Jesse Puljujarvi.
Yeah, we'll talk about the line combos here. We're expecting it to be the same. There was an optional skate today. Zach Kassian did partake in that. Usually if a player takes part in an optional morning skate, means they're not playing. So we're expecting the same lineup of McDavid, Kane, and Puljujarvi. Draisaitl with Hyman, Yamamoto, Nuge with Archibald and Brassard, McLeod with Ryan and Fogle as the 4th line there. Obviously, that 4th line managed to chip in with 3 goals last game. D pairings, Nurse with CC, Keith with Bouchard, Kulak with Tyson Barrie. And I don't know if this is hot takey or not. I think the Oilers are a better team with Jesse Puljujarvi on the 3rd line. And he just played a great game with Connor McDavid, so this probably isn't really the right time for me to say that. But you look at the numbers of guys like Derek Brassard and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. When they played with Puljujarvi, the numbers were good. That first game they had against San Jose, they dominated the Sharks at 5-on-5. Brassard scored a goal as well. You move Puljujarvi up to the top line, all of a sudden Archibald has to play with Nugent-Hopkins and Brassard, and their numbers fall apart. That trio played just over 6 minutes together at 5-on-5. They got outshot 3-0. Okay, well, when Puljujarvi was on that line, they were out shooting the Sharks 12-4. So I think there's something to be said. Again, I understand Puljujarvi turns over pucks like a madman. He's great to have that big body with McDavid. But I think putting him on that 3rd line just balances things out. It gives the Puljujarvi, Nuge, Brassard trio easy matchups as well, because the other team's circling McDavid and Draisaitl on the whiteboard. They're worried about shutting them down. That allows your 3rd line to be even more productive. I understand why some people want to see Puljujarvi get those gravy minutes with McDavid. I just think there's something to be said about building a solid and more complete and balanced top 9.
Gravy minutes. Making me hungry on this pregame
Gravy
show,
minutes.
right?
Gravy minutes, yes.
Oilers fans, let us know what you think. If you agree with Tyler, if you disagree with Tyler on the Jesse Puljujarvi take. Right now, I have Jin in our comments saying Mikko's been the better goalie. He agrees. And Tori saying the Oilers need to take advantage of this and destroy. Full throttle and don't let up. I like it.
I love it too. Sammy the Canadian, Tyler greater than Kane. He's hiding everything under his Oilers Nation sweater. I promise you I'm hiding literally nothing under this Oilers Nation sweater. Skin and bones from me.
No.
Some call me Timmy. This is an LA Kings team who has a very light schedule for the balance of the year. That's a good point, and that puts even more emphasis on the Oilers winning this game, right? If you can get this 4-point swing on LA, they beat a couple bad teams down the stretch. You have a tougher schedule. You give yourself that little bit of an advantage where you're up 2 points on them if you win the game in hand, and you hold the tiebreaker. So again, the Kings, that's a great point with the Kings' light schedule. It makes tonight's game even more important for the Oilers.
What is, Tyler, the bet of the game presented by PointsBet?
Well, the Oilers are big favorites in this game,
Really?
minus 200. I'm surprised they're that big of favorites.
Yeah, me too.
They're plus 125 on the puck line. They're minus 131 to win this game in regulation. One bet I do actually like, Oilers over 3.5 goals is minus 131. You can also get them at over 4 goals, so which means if it hits 4, you get a push, and that's plus 115. The LA Kings just gave up 6 to the Seattle Kraken. The Oilers have been scoring on this 7-game winning streak at home. They've scored at least 4 goals in every single one of those games. They've been scoring a ton on home ice. And if the Oilers get Jonathan Quick for the Kings between the pipes, how about this for a stat? In the first half of the year, from the start of the year till December 31st, Quick had a .923 save percentage and a 2.37 goals against average. Great numbers. He was in the conversation to be one of the goalies for Team USA at the Olympics if they would have gone. Since the calendar flipped to 2022, he's down to an .889 and a .303. Those are subpar. That's Mike Smith level numbers, you could call them. Ooh, isn't that?
Yeah, it's a little sprinkle of spice from Tyler.
But the Oilers have been producing a ton of offense. The Kings' blue line is banged up. Jonathan Quick hasn't been great over the last 2 months. So I think there's a chance the Oilers really, really up the offense in this hockey game.
I'm calling you a stat king. Stat King Tyler. Tyler Stat King Yaremchuk. Brent in our chat says, Jesse Puljujarvi makes this team better with Nuge on the third line, and he couldn't agree more with you.
I like Waz. He's in the Twitch chat right now, just putting in all caps that he's clipping certain things.
Yay, Waz! Waz is our social media magician, so guys, get ready for some nice TikTok takes from Tyler. Ooh, TikTok takes from Tyler.
That's a good series.
That could be a really good series.
We could fire that up.
See how that just came off?
Yep.
It's meant to be. All right, everyone. This has been your Giant Pregame Show presented by Sherwood Ford. Puck drop at 7:30 p.m. tonight, and we'll see you on Twitter.